All right, so do I just hit this button? Let's see. Arrow over or down? I feel like it's down. Yeah. Who am I? Look at that sexy beast. Okay, so that's me. So this is me on set of, who worked on this project with me in here? Nobody, I don't think. Travis did, and Eric Olson's off camera. So essentially, this is me and I was first AD on this project, but essentially, I'm a filmmaker. And so for the last 15 years, that experience of a filmmaker has encompassed learning and understanding cinematography. And that's not just how to hit record, but that's understanding how framing and composition works. Writing screenplays, not just having an idea and putting it on paper, but formatting a script and understanding what, your idea is not a story until your idea tells a story. And so there's these various avenues of understanding that I think as a filmmaker you need to get a grasp on. Because it's so easy to just say, hey, I have an idea and I'm going to go make a movie. And then you go and do it and you fail big, or, maybe you get lucky. I don't know. It doesn't happen that much. But for me, it's been years and years of just what started out as, and it's weird, my background in filmmaking didn't start with I didn't see Jaws and go, holy shit, I need to make a shark movie that's like this, man. It wasn't conventional. It wasn't even from a love of cinema. It was from I used to skateboard, and we would watch skateboard flicks. And, the skateboard company that we watched happened to do a lot of hijinks, jackass type stuff. And I was like, yo, we should film ourselves doing stupid shit. And so we did, but as we did that, and this is 11-year-old me probably, I started falling in love with the idea of editing that footage, and at certain points I want people to laugh and whatnot. So it wasn't cinema that got me into it, although I did love movies and video games and all that good stuff. It was just naturally it fell into it. And then from there, I think the deeper level for me as a filmmaker is that, and this sounds psychotic probably, is that I see stuff in my head, and I visually, and it might be fictitious. Most of it is just scenarios and stories and concepts and stuff. And as I was a kid growing up, when my younger brother, we tried writing a book, but we're freaking 10 and 11, and we didn't have the discipline to write a book at the time. And so we'd go out in the yard, and then we'd react these scenes from this. We would literally jot notes in a journal of this character and this storyline, and go in the yard and stage play it. And we'd play in the yard in this world that we had built. I tried writing books, which I'm trying to get back into, but it just so happened with that circumstance and the whole skateboarding thing that my avenue of art and telling these ideas came into filmmaking. And so that's what my background is. And so that's what my drive is as an artist and a creative. And I think if you're a filmmaker, I think part of what you want to do is express that. And I think we all kind of channel our energies into expressing it through the filmmaking format. So, boom, there's the introduction to who I am. That's where I started. Also, here's some movies I've done. So, who I am is just a status currently as a filmmaker and projects I've done. This is The Devil in the Sky. We won Best Film at 48, and you were there for the conversation that happened at the cigar place just a second ago. And it's why the hell do I do film challenges? And I've always been hooked on them. And is it winning? Is it awards? I think what it's taught me is I don't look at it man, I'm only doing it to win the award. It's I'm doing it, and then if I don't win an award, it's why didn't I? What was the reason that my film did not do good? And the Second Act Film Festival I did a few years ago, this was one that you get selected to be in, and then you're in it, and it was kind of difficult. I think I had applied for it for 4 years. And the year that I finally got in, it was just the right time. We ended up winning. There's only 2 awards. There's audience choice, which means the audience votes for you, and that really depends, honestly. I'm sorry to say this, but who you bring to the event. But we won the Filmmaker Award, which was just overall quality, and that felt great. What it taught me for editing was that I had a 12-minute masterpiece, right? The movie had to be 7 minutes. So in that moment, doing the film challenges teaches you to cut shit out that really doesn't matter. So that's a little sidebar. Documentary. This documentary apparently was #1 on Tubi for a few days, which is awesome. Tubi is, I think Tubi's growing as a platform for distribution. They're really leaning into the quality of their content versus doing all the exploitation films that have been available on there. And I think what's going to help Tubi, and again, this is going to fall in later when we talk about distribution, what's going to help them is that they're getting rid of like sort of the C-class films, because you got people like Amazon now that are still charging you a month to have ads on your stuff. Tubi is completely free and you get ads. So it's like, it's going to get to that time where you're like, well, now we just get free TV or we pay for Amazon and still get ads. So Tubi's going to start being taken a lot more serious. We'll talk about this guy here in a little bit. Mr. Academy. This is the first feature I produced and was actually director of photography on. And it was a learning experience, a fun experience, and distribution nightmare. And then two, short. When I first started as a filmmaker, I'm just making kind of BS short films that just come out of my mind. And not
Z-Line.
Right. Well, Z-Line's got over almost 200,000 views, bro. That's the first one. But yes, exactly. And I love your quote where you're like, you're the first director that ever got dropped off by his dad. And I was like 16. But, with this short film, it was a for hire. I was hired to, how do you make money as a filmmaker? You might think like, well, I've got to sell the film, but sometimes you just get hired on to do stuff, even if it is a short film. And then some of these have gotten picked up on streaming platforms. I don't even know what the streaming platforms are, but like Film Hub tells me, hey, they're available out there, so that's cool. And then you get things like this where it's blacklisted, and don't make your short films too long, because this is a 37-minute short film, and that's where I screwed up. But it's still funny as hell. So those are some projects I've done. This documentary here is actually a weird deal as a filmmaker I scored, where I'm getting money up front to produce a documentary, and then on the back end I get residuals. And so I just go interview 10 people on their paranormal experiences, and cut in supplied B-roll, because that's just how the licensing agreement works, and I get residuals. And so now it's like, you do one of those, what's the big deal? But I'm going on 10 films with this company. And the executive producer on it has worked with Mel Gibson. He's worked with Bruce Willis. So he knows the networks. He knows the distribution channels. I'm not going to do any more of them, though, after this year, because I'll get to that, too. It's kind of funny. Like, my Instagram has been blown up. I did one on, like, conspiracy theories. And I have, like, a bunch of people message me on Instagram, like, you got it all wrong. The aliens don't do that. I'm like, dude. I'm not that guy. Like, I just, like... He's telling me that. He was so dead. He's like, come on my podcast. We'll talk about it. I'm like, dude, I really don't care about aliens. So this is a paycheck. Film Hub, I don't know why I put this on here. I think that it's just important to understand that, like, again, we'll get more into this. When you do a project, let's wait for that. Let's just skip this slide, because I think I'm going to get into that. But also, like, here's the stuff that your movies can be seen in places like this. And I noticed for the video, they're going to be like, what the hell is he talking about? Because my big head's just blocking the screen all the time. Okay, cool. Oh, you can do that? Right. And then this, okay. What does it mean to be a filmmaker? Paulo's sitting on there. All right, filmmaking is an industry. It is also a sickness. Once you catch the bug, there's no going back. There's my cheap slogan. Here's a few things I thought was funny. You may be screwed if you have an obsession with cameras and or with how films are made, which that kind of came late for me. I was like, oh, cameras. You think life encounters need to be written down and adapted into a film? I come across those people all the time. It's like, did you see this? We can make a dang 3-hour movie on this one. Watching a movie inspires you to make your own. You get that drive, like, and I don't think it's like, well, I can do it better. I think it's like, oh, I would love to create something that inspires other people. You constantly, and this is where I think I fall, you constantly see imagery play out in your mind. So your mind is always just these stories that are unfolding. You think everywhere you go would be a cool location to shoot a movie. I know those people too. It's like, dude, we should shoot a movie here, bro. It's like, what movie? I don't know, bro. Just anything. So if you have any of these that go on in your head, you're screwed. You're a filmmaker. You're going to be a filmmaker. Being a filmmaker, you actively have to work to, and I'm going to read what I'm probably going to do, because a lot of these there's no words, it's just like cues, but I will read this just so then I'll talk. You actively work towards turning concepts and stories into experiences that can be viewed on screen. This is the case with any format, whether it be a narrative, documentary, or commercial. Your goal is to communicate an idea, encouraging and invoking emotional responses towards an audience. Your goal is to deliver a wholesome film that exercises the philosophies and principles of visual storytelling. As a filmmaker, it is important to understand key responsibilities when it comes to bringing a project to life. Okay, so with that, and this might be briefer than I thought, but you can't just say, I have an idea, let's go film it. You can, but I think if you really want to be good at what you're trying to achieve as a filmmaker, you have to start thinking about the things, and this was a thought that I had on the way here, is that if I was right now like to make a movie with you guys, obviously I would trust in your each and individual talents and jobs that you're filling on set. But as a filmmaker, and so take this to your own heart, is like you have to be the biggest asset on your set. You can't just say, I have a script, I have people with cameras, and just show up and think that this pile of poo is going to be molded into something great. You have to be conscious of, we're going to get into those details, you have to be conscious of so much stuff, and you have to be ready and willing to do it. You can't just assume, hey, we're making a movie, it's all going to just happen. If that's how you are, then, and it's fine. You may just be a hobbyist. You may just be doing it for leisure and good time, and that's fine. But I think what I'm trying to gear this more toward is anybody that does want to eventually work in the industry of filmmaking, and what you have to do as a professional, and what you have to start to understand. You can't just be passionate all the time. Can't be just well, let's just do it. And I think great things start with that. Great things do, let's just freaking do it, you know? That's what I'm doing right now with all that is evil, is like, I'm not gonna wait for a $100,000 investment or a $200,000 investment. I'm gonna go make a movie. But at the same time, there's an understanding that I have in that of, I'm gonna have to work my ass off, right? So it's not just do the bare minimum and expect greatness. So let's get into a little bit of the things, I think, responsibilities and understandings that we have to be. And two, like, this is sort of, again, you said vague, like it is. Because as a filmmaker, from my perspective, you have to be a little bit understanding of a bunch of things. You can't just, you know, if it would be a lot easier if I was just a cinematographer and I'm just getting into the technology of how cameras work and, well, what sort of compositions and whatnot motivate what. That's a very specific thing. But I even think that cinematographer could get into the overarching idea of the whole film, as the film as a whole. So when you start thinking filmmaking, you're looking at this as a big picture, that you are a driving force and that you are an asset. And I think if you're going to try to get people to respect you and understand you and work with you, you have to understand these things, and you have to put it into practice. I got real serious just now. All right, the discussion, we'll talk about script. I kind of skipped this because this is like bullet points for the next slides. All right, the script matters. Most ideas are great. Most of the execution is not. For me as a filmmaker, my integrity as a storyteller lies in my ability to effectively communicate the ideas I see inside of my head. So my thing is, I got an idea, and I want to show you that idea visually. That comes first with the script. If I fail to put that on the pages, if my first responsibility is to put that from here to a page, but I undermine that page, the idea is going to just start to deteriorate and fall apart. So learn to respect a script, and not just, again, this is what I was talking about earlier, is it's not just a matter of, whoa, we did it, we wrote something, it's on a page. You have to become a little bit more critical than that. It can't just be, again, pat yourself on the back, you threw up on the page and got the idea there, right? Right? Get input from friends. Read it with somebody. I'll read my scripts with my wife, and if she doesn't, and I don't, I talk about certain stuff where I'm excited, but I'll read it with her without telling her anything, and I will watch her read it and see how she reacts in that moment, right? Because that's a raw reaction. That's the first. If they're not reading it and getting a reaction, what makes you think they're going to watch it and get a reaction? Because then it's like, well, we got a bad script. We got to pull it off with some good visuals. You want that script to be good. And if you're not, and that's if you're writing your own script. If you're producing somebody else's, you still got to be critical. You can't go, well, it's an opportunity for me to be a part of something because it's on a piece of paper. Right? And this is, again, like, to each their own, do it. Have a bunch of failures. I've had a bunch of failures. I still have failures today. But at the same time, limit your expectations of what you're going to get. What do you want out of something? And I don't know. That's what I would go back and tell myself is be critical. Have a little bit more judgment. And again, it's not from an egotistical standpoint. It's from like a simplistic. Am I, whoa, I want to be on this project because they have a script, or is it because the script's good? The script made you feel a certain way. You're excited about the script. I think that's a pretty simple ideology to have. But the script is very important. And I think if you try to go beyond that, with a half-assed script, you're going to be hurting. And here's another scenario. I'm just going to throw this in because this is what's happening right now is, with All That Is Evil, I feel like it's a really good script. It's not my masterpiece. I have 7 other scripts that I adore, but All That Is Evil is the one I'm producing and making and directing right now. And the script as a whole is pretty great, right? Pretty good. But some stuff's come up in production, so now I'm having to do rewrites. So that'll happen. And two, if it was a rewrite that I thought was going to jeopardize the whole thing, I would just say, no, we're just going to stick to it. But I have to rewrite, and I think the rewrite works. So just again, the script is very important. People so much want an idea to just become something. But make sure that idea becomes a script first. And whatever, preferably the traditional format of a script. And so I would say read other scripts. And if you need script writing books, I have like 50. So just like hit me up. I'll give you the ones that help me the most. Because I'm like a very stiff on format. And then 2, I think your story should come out organically, and then you should look into how to fix that. And then recraft yourself for the formula. Why are you making a film? Okay, so I guess this comes after the script or even before. Yes, as a filmmaker, we are all inspired to simply make a movie. But why are we doing it? What's the end goal? This is kind of a thing that's come up recently is just, are we making a movie to say we can make a movie? Are we making a movie because we can make a movie? Are you making a movie? And okay, let me stay on this for a second. There has to be more than the self-fulfillment. It's sad, but if you want to be in the business and if you want this to be a career, there has to be a logical reason outside of satisfying our artistic nature. And so that's for the people that do want to make film a career. If you are a filmmaker, or even if you're working in the film industry, as an actor, right, Billy? You want this, obviously you may love the script and the character, but you also want, it needs to blossom beyond that. And I think once we kind of as a community and just as filmmakers in general understand it, it's not just for the festival circuit. It's not just for our YouTube page. And this is probably a little bit more toward like if you haven't been a filmmaker or you're just getting into filmmaking, is really start to define what that purpose is and why you're making a movie. And there, with a documentary or even a narrative, it could be, well, I really want to talk about this topic. And so you want to have a perspective on that. But at the same time, why are you where is that film going to live? You can make a movie and put it on a DVD, and you did talk about that topic in the film, but if that DVD lives in your drawer, what the hell's the purpose? So start being a little bit more big with the idea of, okay, this film is going to exist out there for people to digest and view, right? I've done so many damn films that are unlisted on YouTube. Yeah, right, that are unlisted. I've done a $35,000 feature film. This was when I was 21, so this is like 6 or 7 years ago, that's still on the shelf. It's edited, and it's kind of hard for me to like hand it off. You know, we want to do re-edits, but it's a $35,000 film cracks that's just on the shelf, you know? So, and at that point, we were like, well, let's just make a movie. We're going to make a horror movie. It's going to do good. And like, it didn't. It was crap. And so, if we would have really thought about what it was going to take, not just to achieve our idea and our dream of making a movie, but a process that we could replicate and sell, we would have done things a lot different. And that's what I feel like I'm doing different today with All That Is Evil. That's why like I've done a few features, and All That Is Evil feels like the first time, it feels like my directorial debut. Right, because it's the circumstances are a lot different. The idea of what I'm doing with the film and what I hope to convey and where I hope to go after it is a lot different. You know, it used to be the idea that, well, I'm just going to make this movie and Hollywood's going to see it and be like, God, dude, here's $3 million, $30 million, dude. Does not happen. You got to you got to start being strategic with the career that you're building, right? That was rant. Also, this is Mark Johnson on the set of our trailer. Yeah. Huh? That wasn't Dissuade. That was the trailer. We shot Dissuade on the 4D. This is the Ursa. Sorry, I knew cameras. I don't want to know cameras, but I do. All right, pre-production. We need a plan to execute. So I'm going to just start cutting through this stuff a little brief. All right, so think about you want to shoot a movie, you got your script. Cool. Okay, well, let's go film on Saturday, dude. No, you need time to figure stuff out. You get to set and, you know, let's say we got our actress there, right? We got our cameraman. We got the sound guy, maybe, if you remember to get a sound guy. You show up on set, and you're like, all right, let's do these 5 pages, man, of this short film. But the whole thing is like, well, there's a dirt bike with freaking fireballs and shit shooting off. You're like, oh, okay, well, we don't have any of that. You have to think about, pre-production is essentially doing all the problem solving, the scheduling, the logistics, figuring out, going to locations and, I mean, I still do this, but like, well, we hope the location works. We get there and, you know, you have to make it work. You know, in the perfect world, you got some seed money, you got a little bit of budget ahead of time to go out and do your location scout and get everything right. To make sure that the location has power, that it has a restroom, that it's going to be, you know, that there's going to be a place for your cast to chill while you're shooting, you know, all the other stuff. So pre-production is important and often overlooked. I think we all hear that a million. If you're a filmmaker, you hear it a million times. You don't get enough time for pre-production. What I would say, if you're doing like entry level, sort of like you're kicking off your career as a filmmaker, like the most important thing is just going to be get your locations, make sure your crew and everybody's read the script. And here's the thing. Here's the crazy freaking thing. This still blows my mind. Like with All That Is Evil, I'm trying to get like the call sheets out like a week in advance at minimum. Like I've worked tons of features, tons of commercial jobs where you get the call sheet like 3 a.m. the morning before you're filming. So if you can get it out like 2 days in advance, you're on top of some stuff. And call sheet is essentially like, where are we going, what time, who's needed, you know, and on mine I'll put like the shooting order so that there's a structure to the day. So pre-production is where you figure out a lot of that stuff where like, spend the time, do the meetings, figure it out. Don't wait till you get on set to be like, you never want anything you're doing to when you get on set, it's the first time you've thought about it. Especially if you're the filmmaker, the director. If you haven't thought about anything when you get on set and somebody, you're going to be asked a million questions a day. And you got to have an answer every time. It might not be the right answer, but you got to have an answer. You got to give somebody something. And people can start to tell when you don't have an answer or when you don't care to answer. So do you he's laughing because he knows I suck ass at pre-production.
No, I'm just saying, I've been in the position.
Right, though.
Like when you're directing, you got 1,000 questions. And
you do.
People sense that, and then you have to be the leader of.
That's why you just got to always be ready. And pre-production is going to give you that. Pre-production is going to give you that intimate time with your cinematographer to talk about why you think that dolly shot is important to convey that message that you want to in that frame, in that performance. Yes, a lot of if you do really, 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 really good pre-production work, when you get on set, you're gonna have the luxury of those spontaneous moments that you go, dude, why don't we try this? If not, you're gonna be day of pulling stuff out your behind, trying to get the day done. So do your pre-production, do all your thinking. And here's the thing, on our budgets, if you're the filmmaker behind whatever project you're trying to do, you're going to be the only one doing it. You can't, unless you've been working with the same guys for a few years and you know their workings, a lot of times it's just gonna be you. Storyboarding, shot listing, figuring out the shooting order. The second that you think either you're good enough to find somebody that can do it and that you can trust in them to do it, or you're gonna have to get good at doing it yourself. And I suggest that you get good at doing it yourself, because the second you have the expectation that somebody else is doing it for you, you're setting yourself up for failure. And that, again, I mean, I can't even equate that to some of the larger projects I've done, but especially on like the sort of entry level, like I want to make a movie, you got to be, again, the primary asset to pulling off the film. And that's going to be in the amount of work you prep. And I've seen a lot of indie filmmakers, first timers that are super OCD and do a really good job of putting all those details together. But a lot of times I've seen stuff where people have, especially, you know, a couple times I've worked with first time directors where, you know, they've read the script, they've maybe talked and met with the talent, then it gets on the day of and it's like almost just a show. It's almost just like a good time. And like, it can't be that. Like, you need to be so in the zone that, like, you know, and again, that's probably more toward directing, but always be the force that tries to understand everything. And it's going to be a headache and it's going to be a migraine. But if you do it, you'll become a valuable asset no matter what field you end up working in the industry. But as a whole on your own project, you do want to be like, I trust myself. And I just fuck the mic up. All right. The money problem. Okay, this is kind of like, you cannot make Marvel-sized films on your budget. Understanding the scale of your project and finding the money to get it made. Okay, so if you write The Matrix and you live in Greenville, South Carolina, you're probably not going to be able to do the Matrix scale quality on your project in South Carolina without knowing anything, you know? So basically, for the money problem, set your expectation. If you're doing a short film, is that a $3,000 short film? Is that something that you can do for $3,000? If it's $3,000, maybe you have to ask somebody, or maybe you just save up. You know, the more you start going up, you know, you have to start figuring stuff out. And that's kind of where we're at with All That Is Evil. And, you know, the first 2 feature films I did was a little easy. I was co-producers with somebody that had some money. And so he was putting some money behind some stuff, and I was able to attach myself to those projects. Love them to death. But that's why it didn't feel like my project. That's where All That Is Evil is a little different. You know, we're doing crowdfunding. That crowdfunding is definitely, like, it's not a significant source. So it's helping us, you know, even though it's like that little amount, it's helping us feed the cast. It's helping us buy some of the prosthetics that we need for the makeup. But as far as like me actually funding All That Is Evil, and this probably will apply to a future project, like future projects, but a lot of it's coming out of my pocket that I'm just like, I'm going to throw everything I can at it because I believe in it. And then I do have some other interested parties, right? I will say what I would recommend is like slow roll, like do a project for 2,000, have a quality project. And then maybe if you need to raise money down the line, where that comes into play is like, well, again, you have to think about why are you making this movie? Is it for festivals? It's going to be hard to raise money. Well, we did really good some people will, I mean, that's a thing. If you're doing, you know, banger after banger at the short film festivals, there are people that are like, yeah, I'll invest in that because I want to go to the film festival and I want to be the rock star executive producer that's on the red carpet with the film. Like, it happens. So there is a model there. So I would say for money, just figure out what that model is. For me, it's, okay, well, I want to do my first big project where I have control. And so a lot of that's coming from me in terms of money, community, and then some investors, right? Like, I'm not saying like millions of dollars. It's like a couple grand, right? We're trying to make this thing happen. My goal there is let's do that, and then let's show that return on it. We're gonna honestly, and two, like, put money behind those marketing dollars, because if you could spend all the money you want on making a movie, if you don't show the world that the movie exists, then you're kind of not going to make any money back. What are you going to tell people at church or Facebook? So for the money problem, I would say it really depends on what your end goal is for your film. It's a lot different though too. I mean, anybody here could easily have a kick-ass script and go to IMDb and probably get a letter of intent from an actor, which is basically an actor saying, hey, I'll sign on. You can put my name under this pitch deck and then I'll sign on the project. And you could raise money that way, but that's just to me, it's a little risky, because once you start doing that, you start getting like bottom of the barrel talent that you get LOIs from. There's a difference if I get like an actor that hasn't acted in 30 years and Chris Pratt LOI, right? I'll be able to raise a little bit more money with Chris Pratt. And two, another thing with all those ebooks, like, you're not featuring any horror icons in your movie? It's like, dude, I don't want to put Danny Trejo or whoever in there for 3 seconds so their name's on the poster. So that's the way I value my film. And also too, at the same time, it's like, with that the budget of the film, I have a bare minimum that we have to make. And so once you start raising more money, if you can raise $300,000, if you honestly need $300,000 for your film, I feel like you can raise it. Right? Why do you need that $300,000? The second you figure that out, the second that you believe that you need that $300,000 is the second you're going to uncover how to raise it. Because that's kind of where I'm at on a smaller scale. Is like, well, I need this fucking much money. And I keep doing everything I can, and it keeps happening. Things do fall into place, because now it's like I can go to somebody that I trust that may have a little bit of money and say, this is why I need it. But for you to just say, I got this script together, give me $500,000. Like, and I think that, again, this is a part of the art of, as a filmmaker, or not even art, just a personality, being conscious of what you're doing and being really in tune what it is, and not just believing out of like half passion, or just like, well, I did it, I wrote a script. Like, you got to realize that there's like, you got to evaluate yourself every day. You got to be critical of yourself every day. I'm not saying hate yourself, but I'm saying think about what you're doing, and is it good, and get feedback. And then if people talk a lot of shit, you just sorry, that's stupid. All right, and capturing the film. Now we're on set. This is where the majority of the magic happens. Okay, now you're on set. Finally, you got your money raised. You're doing your thing. I kind of talked about this a second ago, so this will be short. But your expectations on set, again, be the asset. If you get on set and people are just kind of clueless and stuff, you did not do your job as a filmmaker. You didn't sell them on the vision. You didn't sell them on the mission. None of it. Right? So on set cannot, and two, so many times I've seen, especially in the indie circuit, you get on set and it's just a freaking party. It's just hey, we're making a movie. Let's take selfies. Let's do this. Let's do that. And that stuff's fine, obviously. Like, I got to stop and take a few selfies from time to time. But I'm there to work. I'm there to do something, right? And I think, you'll find the crew that help makes that happen. Also, understand that when you're on set, this is kind of like a sidebar, but I guess it's still good for filmmakers and making your films, is just be a nice person. Don't be a jerk. Don't be entitled. Don't have an ego. Make people feel comfortable, Like, something I did recently, it was like one of the bathrooms in the thing like didn't have and this, I think I was 80 on this, but like didn't have a lock on it. And so it's like, you got some people that are reckless on set that's just going to run through the door, like, and not even like people knock on doors, like put signage on stuff, accommodate people. Like, you're doing a film, like, treat people like people, is a big thing on my set. Andrew, I checked on you like 20 times on Sunday. I was like, dude, slow down. Like if I see you sitting down, I'm not going to be like, Andrew, get up, Like, treat people like people is a big thing. Also, be safe. on set. If something sketches you out, especially if you're the filmmaker and somebody's like, I just put this ladder right there and I'll do a backflip and stand up there and do it, like, call it out and like don't let it happen. Like, a lot of times, especially on these indie projects, you're probably not going to have insurance, which is, you can get some affordable insurance. I can hook you up with that. Now I sound like a salesman, but seriously though, I got a coupon code. No. I feel like the on set, I mean, does everybody here pretty much have a good idea of like what happens on set? Like, you know what your cinematographer is, your PA, your gaffer, and all that stuff? Like, do you know what your role as the filmmaker is on set? I guess that's the thing, is like, if you're the filmmaker on set, probably 9 times out of 10 you're directing it, or you're probably like...
I was going to say, it was like having key grip, because your key grip is in charge of safety on set.
Right.
Rigging oftentimes, safety, so that's the person, and someone to have in pre-production as well, like site,
right,
location scouting, to be like, hey, we would be able to do this, and be like, no, there's no way.
Right.
Or, well, yeah, we can rig something here, and then we can make it safe, and we're good to go. Sorry, I'm key grip.
No, you're good. And that's right. That's right. But also at the same time, on the low indie stuff, he's going to be the key grip, and the gaffer. So it's like, but that's so true. You know, that falls into the whole pre-production realm of like, you want to have the stuff figured out before you get there. Just imagine you get there, everybody drove 4 hours, and there's no bathrooms. Everybody's got to tinkle. You know, like, you're screwed. Like, you didn't think about that kind of stuff ahead of time. Rent a porta john, whatever you got to do. I think we're gonna have to do that in Bryson City.
Probably.
Yeah.
So something on the set that would be interesting, maybe for the room, for everybody in film bar at some point, would be like, what's the minimum roles needed to produce?
That's a good. Okay.
Really interesting to me. Like,
You're asking the.
5 people
Yeah.
on set. Which ones are the 5 I need right now, and then which ones would be nice to have?
I think a lot of that does come in evaluating your script and also script-based writing for what resources you have. I will say, again, I was gonna say I'm probably a bad person to ask, because, you know, probably 65% of my 15-year career has been just me, and then I bring a sound guy or I bring a friend on. And, you know, I've done an award-winning film where it was just me and my half-drunk friend running sound, you know, and we were up for 50 hours because we just shot a wedding. And so I think that it really just, it is project-based, you know. Obviously, if you're doing a monster flick, like, you got to have somebody that can build that and source that. But, you know, if you were doing like a one location drama, dialogue short kind of thing, I mean, honestly, you could do it with one person. Like, you would, and that's you like staging your boom mic on a C-stand and you lighting in it. And, you know, that's kind of what I did when I was doing speed scenes. It was just me, and I'm making 3-minute freaking scenes, you know. That became way too much work. But I would say, if I could go back in time for some of the jobs where it was just me and like a sound guy, I would say me, probably trust somebody else to be the cinematographer. Like, even with my movie right now, the essentials that I need is, I'm directing. I got my cinematographer who's also the camera operator. I need somebody to pull his focus and help him set up any other rigging, sound guy, and then when I can afford it, Andrew to do my lights. So that's essential. But there's also like, I've broken it up to where it's like, that's like bare bones crew. And then it's like, okay, well, there's certain days where I got to hire 7 more people. So for me, it's because I know that like the talent that I hire, I trust them, that we've done our script studies and stuff like that, to where when I get on set, they're going to have questions when the camera's on them. But before the camera's on them, I can go and do a million different things I need to do just to save money for the budget, working in other departments. And also I got like Chad coming on and helping and stuff. You know, he's producing with me. So yeah, I mean, it just depends on the project, honestly. But I mean, you can, if you're not doing something that's overcomplicated, it can be you and one other person. But that falls on like, you know, again, that's also years of me studying lighting, cinematography, directing. I still don't know shit about sound, but you know, that's where it's like, I need to bring somebody in for that. But that's like bare bones. But I mean, you could, you know, if you did a feature film that was in one room, Saw, honestly, you could probably shoot that with 2 people. Well, I guess you would need the makeup artist and stuff, but once you start thinking like that, it's like you can achieve a lot with little. I mean, I'm just now at the point in my career where I'm starting to like break out of just doing everything and actually start trusting in people and bringing people on board. But yeah, I mean, just depends on your script, honestly.
Sure.
And I think even if the script calls for more, it's still not. It doesn't go from like you need 2 people to 50. You know.
I think on the flip side of that too is sometimes you can have like 20 people,
Right.
and then if you don't vibe with that crew, then it's going to be worse sometimes. By having more people, there might be.
Yeah.
So sometimes less is more too.
I think
You have
that.
a good vibe and you're the crew.
I mean, I think too. I think like a lot of times, like people have the expectation of like, well, I'm gonna walk on set and they're gonna have the stellar lights, the stellar camera. They're gonna have crew members everywhere, and people identify that as professional and this and that. And then when they get on your set, and that's the expectation I've set in the past. And I'm not just like tooting my own horn, but like where people have like I've seen people walk on set and go like, what the fuck is this? But then they're at the awards ceremony winning shit, and it's like, and again, that's why I'm probably, you know, don't take everything I say and run with it. Obviously, like get many sources, but like I'm a little unconventional with my method, but I do still understand the principles of, you know, what you should be doing. But I understand it so I can see like I don't need that, you know, like you don't know what's good until you've had it, and then you don't know what you need. What's up?
So how do you feel about writing with limits? Like whenever you have your budget and crew in mind, do you like you see it unfit to try to like alter your story to suit like a smaller crew, a smaller budget, or do you think you should dream big and then build it down?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of used to do that. I think now it's like it's a little, I don't know, it's a little difficult because it's like now knowing when I know, like if I was going to go write something, I know ahead of time, like as I'm writing it, like what's going to cost what. But I guess from the onset of like, yeah, maybe if you do have an idea, if it's an idea that like, but only if in the conception and or the rewriting that it still works if you have to dilute certain things for that budget. Like if you start taking away things just to make it, are you really, whenever it gets to the point of like, am I really still making the same film? And you have to start questioning that, then that's where you go, okay, maybe I'm gonna put this one on the back burner until I have the right funds for it. And I have to do that all the time. You know, I got a medieval freaking script. I don't even think I'm ever gonna produce, but like if sometime down the line somebody's like, you want, you know, $100 million to make a movie, like that's gonna be the one I pull off the shelf. But like right now it's like All That Is Evil was written for, and it's kind of put myself in a pinch because I wrote it to be lower budget, but it came together at higher budget. So I'm like, now we're pulling money out of thin air, which is crazy, to make it happen. But I would say like the next film I'm gonna do, I'm writing it to where it's like, okay, I have this awesome story and I only need a certain amount of people to pull it off. And that's cast, that's crew. Like it's literally, it's one of those films where I can shoot it with me and a sound guy. And so I would just say like, again, if you already have an idea, budget it and figure out. Also, the other thing is like, well, what bartering and trading can you do to get it done? You might not necessarily have to take away something if you can get, you know, somebody over here is like, I really believe in you. Well, I'll put my time into it. You know, people are going to take those, like, especially we're doing art on the level that we're doing it. People are going to be like, hey, I've had a few people message me and say, hey, I want to come work for you for a day. You don't have to pay me. And I'm like, well, that's freaking awesome. Like, you know, like that helps a lot. So I would just, you got to fill the project out. And then again, though, if you have to dilute it too much, put it on the back burner and figure out something that you could probably do on a smaller scale to get you to the point where you can build up, especially if you don't have like a whole lot of, you know, think of your portfolio. If you don't have a whole lot, like whether that be awards or just a show reel, then you kind of want to build that up to get to where you need to be to raise that money. Because it's sort of the same thing with like acting reel, I guess, you know. You got to be able to show that you've done some cool stuff. Pyrotechnics. Just go in your backyard and blow some shit up and put it on camera. Sit in a Michael Bay and be like, look at this.
I would say that write the story to be the best version of itself that it can be first.
Right.
As dial moves, you can get that. And then when you're going into pre-production, that's when you have to start.
86 and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I would say right without like thinking like the world, anything's possible. Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Anything is possible, right? And the thing is too, is part of the fun filmmaking experience is like, well, I might not be able to do it this way. So then you get the awesome experience of figuring out. Like there's a decapitated scene in my movie that I'm doing now, and I got a quote, and this was a guy do me a favor for a head model. It was $8,000. I'm like, damn, that's 1/3 of our like entire budget. And so, it's like, okay, and at first I was like, I'm going to write it out. And then Merritt's like, no, dude, that's such a big moment in the script. I'm like, it's the moment in the script. And so I've since then figured out what I believe to be like, at first I was like, it's the poor man's method. But now I'm like, this is like the way I should have thought about it in the first place on how to do it. Because we're just really going to cut her head off. I'm just kidding. We got really good production insurance.
Yeah, figuring out how to do those big things is part of the fun of filmmaking.
It is. The problem solving, yeah. Doing it with miniatures instead, kind of thing. Okay, moving on to editing. I thought this was hilarious. I looked these up like last minute and they were so funny. When the software crashes and you forget to save your project, I don't even have a picture of him. He exists only in my memory. So like as a filmmaker, if you're overseeing the whole project, the editing process, there's 90% of the issues I've seen on indie projects comes in post-production. Somebody's deleted all the footage. The editor ran off with the footage because you didn't pay him right, or he wants to twist your arm for more money. Back your films up in multiple places, 3 times over, especially if your goal is you got people investing in it and you want to sell the film and you want to get it done. Even if you're doing it as a hobby, just how irritating. You put all this time, this precious time into crafting this thing, and it gets lost on a drive. Put it in 3 different places, and then put those 3 different things away and edit off of a different thing. Seriously, I can't stress that enough. That is so important.
It's actually a film standard. The feature films like out of Hollywood always triplicate, all right?
Right.
And always in 3 separate locations. Oftentimes proxies will be sent to an editor.
Right.
So they can start the process.
Right.
Drives are either put in like a bank vault.
Yeah. That's how I would treat everything you do. I mean,
treat it like, because you spent this time, and if you did have a budget, time, money, energy.
And it's different. Like you could, like if you're doing like small projects, you could put like if you shot an entire day, you could put your footage on 3 different SD cards. Like it doesn't have to be super expensive hard drives and SD, whatever the hell they're called. Like, but just make sure your footage is good. Yeah, I've just seen a lot of issues with that, and that's be like the main asset and make sure that all that stuff's curated. If you don't pay attention to that, it's going to come time and your project's never going to get finished. Okay, I got to hurry up. Distributing your movie, avoiding predatory distribution deals. And what happened to me? People will say, oh, I want your movie. Especially if you're an indie filmmaker like me, they're going to say, oh, this is awesome deal. We're going to take 30%, you keep 70%, which is actually a good cut. 70-30 is a good cut. I would say it's a good cut. 80-20 is better. What will happen, though, is that this distribution company they do not think your movie is good. They do not think your movie will sell. They're collecting your movie, your movie, your movie, your movie, your movie. They're building a catalog that they're making nickels and dimes off, but their catalog is 50,000 movies, so they're making decent while they're not marketing or pushing your movie to make any money. So unless it's an accredited distribution company, do your research. If you've never seen, and again, what happened to me was that $35,000 Mr. Academy, we got a distribution deal. Guess what? They apparently, like in the contract was like their expenses have to be paid first, which makes sense, but they were like $5,000 to make a poster, $15,000 or $10,000 in marketing expenses, and we've never recouped our money because they haven't made their money back on this. We've never seen the film marketing, and the poster looked like freaking was made in Microsoft Paint. You know, so look out for that. If it's a movie, you can sell yourself to it. But also, like, you know, as you're making your movie, if you're doing a horror film like me, look up some credible distribution companies and set up discussions to where when your film's done, you can send them a screener. Because people are going to come to your Instagram. People are going to come here, oh, I'll distribute your movie. And then a lot of times people go, oh my gosh, I got a distribution deal. I was one of those people. Don't let that happen. Do your research. Look into it. Is the festival circuit worth it? I used to think not. I think it kind of is if you want to build a community and reach certain audiences and just certain communities. I don't think it's like, I mean, if I was sending it to like Sundance and stuff, obviously, like, if I got into that, that's different. But to me, that's not my method. I want to make a film that's good and I can market myself and get eyes on it. I'm not waiting for Lionsgate. I mean, if I did a movie with Willem Dafoe, I'd probably be like, let's submit it to Sundance. You know, like, he's a freaking awesome actor, and it would probably get picked up, and then it would probably get a bigger distribution deal. But festival circuits depends on what you want. Do you want awards? Do you want to meet people? Do awards matter? They never really mattered to me, although I do like being first place. Sorry. When we did the 48, we were second. Self-distribution. Just hit me up. We can talk about self-distribution channels. Theatrical premieres locally are awesome. They're it's a fun thing. With all the gazebo we're going to do, not just Greenville, we're going to do Greenville, Columbia, Spartanburg, Tryon, probably try to Savannah. So we want to reach we're starting to think like not just locally, but east, like southeast. So I'd love to, if anybody wants to talk about that at some point. Again, Dill's.
Need somebody famous for Spartanburg, and I need just.
You want to host it for me? You want to be my DJ? Okay.
I'm not doing anything that day.
Will top streamers pick up your film? You know, well, you need an A-list name in it. I think that's kind of BS. Like, I think that, like, yes, it does help you, but I think if you have a really good movie that's completely flawless in terms of the execution of, like, quality's great, sounds great, like, it looks like pros made this. If the film is good, it'll get distribution. It'll get distribution. That's a philosophy of mine. Is if somebody can watch my movie and go like, this looks like top streaming quality, then it could be picked up. I don't think you need. I mean, I've seen so many movies where like the quality of the film is not that great, and it's got every name you can think in it, right? So I think that's just me being optimistic for myself. Is like, man, if we do a kick-ass movie that's like the only thing people don't like is they probably don't like the story, but they can't critique the filmmaking or the performances or the acting. I think your film can go anywhere at that point. I think that's where you start having breakouts. Is that it? Okay, that is it. Sorry. I'm done. I need to go to a bar and get a beer. Can I just shut this or what?